Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week, Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer unpacks South Africa's opportunity in platinum and manganese, the electrification of taxi fleets, and the Tshipi and South32 agreement. Welcome, Martin.
Certainly.
Now, South Africa needs to go all out to be in the best of two decarbonizing worlds. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, we hear a lot about electric vehicles these days, but we don't often hear about South African metals closely associated with battery electric vehicles. We hear a lot about lithium, which is, cut and dry. It's going to be used in these, but there's also potential to replace certain other metals, and we have these, like manganese. There is a bit of a reluctance of the world to get too heavily reliant on cobalt, because it comes from an area that is really one single concentrated area of the world that doesn't really have great political governance. There's also issues of that cloud it, including allegations of child labor and things like that. So a lot of the original equipment manufacturers, car manufacturers, they've become a little bit reluctant to become too reliant on cobalt. And so they have let it be known that they will entertain other metals coming forward to do this. And the race is on now between nickel and aluminium and manganese. And we've got this huge source of manganese, and it's high quality manganese. So hopefully we'll be able to do something to try and get that niche in the BEVs, the battery electric vehicles, which we haven't really been associated with. Then we need to push further on the hydrogen side of it, because that runs parallel with platinum, and we're the biggest hosts of platinum in the world. So we could have the best of the two worlds of electrification, of mobility. And we could have the platinum group metals on the one side, with associating with hydrogen for bigger trucks, buses, and the heavier side of mobility. And also we could become involved, hopefully, in the battery electric vehicle, which is generally regarded as the smaller vehicle that one runs around in for one's own mobility.
And South Africa could take up this opportunity further by incentivizing the electrification of its taxi fleets.
Yes, with these metals, with the need to try and introduce, with the metals that we have and the need to try and introduce some new thinking there, perhaps we could work with the taxi industry, which does receive government subsidies. So it's in that way it's linked to the government, and it has got some big names that normally are branded as taxis. One of them Toyota, and perhaps there could be work done with that, because we know that Toyota is very keen on moving into this electrification of vehicles, and we could have a starting point of using our metals in ways that are effective, trying to get close to the original equipment manufacturers to show the world what our metals can do. And it might be a nice time to start with something that's subsidized, like the taxi business, and something that needs constant replacement of vehicles. It just could be an area that I think we should look to. But of course, it also needs to be linked to renewable energy, because to really do this properly, you need to have the clean hydrogen that is in the fuel cells. And you also need to have clean electricity to produce whatever manganese product you're going to use. It's going to require clean electricity. If you're going to claim that you've got a clean process, it has to be clean all the way.
Yeah. And lastly, just tell us the agreement between Tshipi and South32.
Yes, I'm glad to see this agreement between South32 and Tshipi Mining, because these are two separate companies. And we have this tradition in South Africa of often mines a butt. And why that happened is because of what they call the farm fences. When they used to give out these mining concessions, they used to often base it on the farm fence, on the land. So it didn't quite make sense from an ore body. So you'd have, two companies mining the same ore body, and then all of a sudden they get to a point where they have to say, look, there's just this pillar in between us. What are we going to do about that? And it's good to see that, they're cooperating. We like to see the farm fences being knocked down, because it generally creates economic environment that is improved for mining. And this is an example of where it's happening in manganese in the Northern Cape, but there are many examples in all sorts of other metals that could show that mining companies can cooperate for the good of the country and the good of themselves.
Thanks for speaking to us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.